Y'all remember that test that they did on the frogs? Where like these chemicals was all like dumped into the pond or something like that, and they went and took a, a group of all them frogs, and they all turned anyway. Never mind.
Not the gay frogs.
Frogs are gay. They're all
Yeah,
gay.
we're past the point of delusion at this point. I think you're right, bro. My bad.
No, it's true. It's true. We did this. The frogs are all gay.
I think I was the one telling me that marijuana plants can actually, and it related to like the story of Mother Mary from Jesus because she had a kid without like, having sex or whatever. But I guess marijuana plants can do that when they feel threatened. So it was like a metaphorical thing. It's pretty cool.
Hold on, marijuana plants could do what?
They can produce buds without being like pollinated.
Damn.
What?
Yeah, when you threaten a marijuana plant, it'll like produce seeds or whatever without actually being pollinated.
Just by bad words. Harsh.
So you want me to verbally abuse my pot plant?
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you threaten them? How do you threaten it? What's
It's
the
trickery.
technique?
No, well, you don't want seeds.
Smelly, green, dirty, like what? Sprout.
Don't abuse your plants.
Boom. Boom, bitch.
So basically, what he was saying is like if we had a catastrophic event where like women felt threatened to where they wouldn't have kids, they'd probably just produce kids on their own.
Hell no.
What?
A rebuke in the name.
Hey, it's in the Bible. I didn't write it.
It's like the logic
Spontaneous inception.
It's like the law of make like a tree and get out of here. It's like the same level of that. It's like what?
Man said, make like a tree and get out of here.
Yeah, it's like what? Yeah, come up here right now because he's too busy.
Last call, guys. Last call.
I would say on that topic, maybe that's something interesting about. One of the things I've come upon that a lot of truthers haven't heard about is something called the Ebner effect. Has everyone heard about that before? The Ebner effect. Anybody?
No, actually, I don't think so.
This guy, supposedly the two guys that were working on it or discovered it, doing the work for it. I guess they died. It's kind of like maybe they were killed off. I don't know, but it's a very useful thing that they really don't want people knowing about because the way it was discovered, this guy had like an electrostatic field in his room. And he noticed that the plant was actually growing towards the electrostatic field rather than towards the window. And they've done all these experiments and tests, and evidence is there for them being able to make this a species of fish much larger and more robust. Same with plants. You can make the plant have seeds that will reach back into its genetic history and produce a plant that's already extinct that actually has more resistance to environmental conditions. But this would basically do away with the need for pesticides and GMOs and make your crops like 10 times more abundant.
This is electroculture. That's what you're talking about. It's the same
Basically,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, you're just pulling from the electromagnetic. Yeah.
It's not electroculture because I've talked to electroculture guys that have never heard of the Ebner effect, but I guess it would be somewhat similar to the effect of that.
Well,
I'm not familiar with the electroculture as much.
Victor Schauberger specifically was developing shit for agriculture, and it would make it so there was no need for pesticides. So this focused energy would get rid of any insects, unwanted insects, and it would act as a fertilizer as well. For the fact that it's going to make your shit grow twice as vibrant, twice as large, twice as tasty, even taste it's better, you guys. This is something we desperately need in our mainstream regenerative farming design. I think it's fundamental.
Check out the Ebner effect if it's not exactly the same what you're talking about. Maybe there's something that could be used along with that. yeah, Schwaberger is like another. He came up the other night. We were talking about the jet fuel hoax and how the engines are probably using a Schwaberger um, technique or design that they're propelling themselves through the air without the need
Vortex.
for all the gas that they say they're using. Yeah.
Vortex energy. I think that's what you're referring
Yep,
to.
the
Right?
vortex. Yep.
Which is incredible in itself. Restructures water, eliminates all impurities, things of that nature. Like something about definitely has to do with restructuring, and it does something amazing to food when you cook with it. Like I don't know, there's like even a nozzle you can get. It's like one of the few things that has remained from his work is a special nozzle. They use them in Holland, places like that, but it just goes, in whatever type of faucet, sink, and it just restructures the water through like a very like I don't know. It's kind of like watching it go through two different like sort of what's the word, like spirals, I guess.
Mhm.
I don't know how to even explain it, but
Yeah, it can be done with magnets or just the structure of the device itself, or both actually. Ken Wheeler has like a DIY structured water device that you can watch one of his videos and just go to the hardware store and get it. But yeah, structured water, structured cooking. I've never heard of that. How do you cook with structure? I mean, you cook with the water? Is that what you're saying?
well, like even the copper piping in our house, there's a reason why they use copper piping, and it is actually to help restructure the water somehow. And even then, I don't know how effective it is because of the right angles that our piping takes. So I think it's like, but it has something like old school reasons, like kind of like how copper handles and doorknobs and railings used to exist, because copper is kind of an anti. What is it? I think it's a antibacterial.
Microbial.
Yes, something like that. It cleanses in some fashion.
And actually, if you drink out of copper, I have a copper mug because I've heard for a long time that's the best thing to do. Drink and use that as a drinking vessel, and you're less likely to grow. Actually, someone was claiming that they had gray hair, and then the gray hair went away after drinking with a copper cup.
Wow, it's kind of like when you get like drinking out of copper, you get a 10-inch penis.
Could be, yeah. They weren't trying to sell anything. It was just somebody I was talking to, online.
No, copper
It
is
wasn't like they had a copper. Like it wasn't like they had a copper cup table behind them. They were selling copper cups.
And there is misinformation on the electroculture stuff too. I have discovered, like, not that it's like intentional a lot of the time, but there's like certain ways that you're supposed to twist the wire. Like if you wrap, for example, if you're going in a spiral, and like there's also like which end, there's like a top and a bottom to the whole design. If you're doing like a bed of, if you had like a bed of flowers or fruit or vegetables or whatever, and like you want it's supposed to cycle through things in a direction. Like the current. I think that's the part that isn't always so clear on which way to do it. So there is a way to do it where you get incredible results, and then I'm just guessing when you do it wrong, it's not so incredible.
Oh, I know a couple guys that are doing it that have certain techniques, and pyramid's another way to do it. There's this guy, look up Pyramid House in near Chicago. This guy had this gold pyramid house, and he started with just like a gold, copper. Actually, he was using to begin with, just like pyramids that he would use as like a overhead, a bed of flowers that would totally change the way that they grow. And then you decided to make a pyramid house, and it was amazing. He had to actually change the outside because it was too bright of a shine off of the house. But he was going to make an indoor pool in the bottom floor of the house, and all of the water from the ground came up into the house, and he had to build a reservoir to get it out. So the pyramid structure drew the water up from the ground on its own. And you see the pictures, it's just like the whole place is like surrounded by water. And he started selling, and people said there was something to it because they started making beer with that water, and people were lining up for it.
Yeah, man. There's a lot that's associated with the pyramid shape and it channeling either energy or I don't know. I don't even know really exactly. I bet you anything it's illegal. If you wanted to build a house that was just shaped like a pyramid out of certain material, I bet you it's not allowed.
Well,
'Cause-
somebody might have sabotaged him because it did burn somewhat recently. He has to rebuild now. But yeah, I was thinking another thing. I was thinking it does seem like there is something to that, and maybe even living in the house would be something crazy. But what about like a big mansion that has a pyramid inside that you'd never know? Like that'd be a way to get away with it, right? Like you just think it's a mansion, but inside it's actually a pyramid.
yeah, I guess that
And then
could
I
be.
heard, I had that idea, and then I heard somebody saying that somebody was on a hangout with said that there was actually that was a real thing. People were doing that.
I know you can do it like this one company that he's basically making the toroidal field out of copper, and he's made like a whole mold with it out of epoxy, and it basically is used for healing. You focus. You can even put like a magnet in front of
Like
it.
orgone stuff. Orgonite.
He has some of that. Like he incorporates that with like his larger pyramid shaped like things, where you sit in a chair and you're in a pyramid, but it's copper. It's like copper piping, and at each corner there'll be something that's kind of like a cloud buster kind of thing. You'll take an epoxy and they'll make like that same toroidal field out of copper wire. And then they'll have different stones, like you mentioned, like different, well, not stones, but crystals, certain crystals in there. Like the same stuff they use for like a cloud buster, something like that. And I guess because pyramid shape, it's focusing it all on you. You can have it over your bed. You can have it over just your.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. I know a girl that she said her dad made a living out here in California. Her dad made a living selling pyramids to structures just like that, copper pyramid structures to go over famous people's beds. They were paying money for that. So
That
yeah,
might-
sleeping with that over. I wonder if that's like a dream enhancer at least. What does that do? I want to make a pyramid hat. I wonder how that would work. Like like there are examples of that online. Just look up copper pyramid hat. What do you think that would do? Like you'd be receiving signals and shit, or I think that's where like a lot of the ancient jewelry and stuff that was probably meant for receiving more energy or healing your
Well, the pyramid, just in general, I think just that shape, even if it's not made out of a conductive type of material, I think even then it's able to do some interesting things with like electromagnetic energy, and that in itself is kind of strange. Maybe it's because there is something still to it, like even if it's made of wood, or there's going to be metal in there somehow. So I don't know. Maybe that's not true. I don't know where I got that, but I definitely want to build a pyramid shaped shanty boat. If you guys have never heard of shanty boats, they seem pretty fun. I've been, my little fantasy living on the water, kind of just side thought here, but but still, like it seems like really cool to have things in a pyramid shape. I'm like, oh, that would be great. I bet you that would be a good structure for the water. Like, who doesn't want to live in a pyramid, right? Pyramids are really, really appealing. Like, I don't know why that shape is just so cool. All right, I said too much.
That's some interesting stuff, man. Shout out to New Perspective. Usher, he just dropped down. Man, where'd he go?
Oh shit! I was stomping all over him when old Greg was wanting to go.
We don't need dark matter. What we do require is a unified background medium of everything. We call it ether. And
Whoa, you guys talked about that tonight?
Yeah, we got into it, man. We got into the physicists in history that acknowledged the ether, how it applied to Maxwell's equations. I don't know if we really got into like Maxwell heavy side, but definitely touched on Maxwell and some of the other physicists in the past. And there's still physicists to this day that acknowledge the ether that are active, in physics. Dr. Robert Bennett is retired. But yeah, we covered a lot of those different things. It was such a dope topic. And there's so much more to go through. I mean, there's diagrams, there's hours of diagrams showing an ethereal framework and a lack of motion. And I've been privy to some of these presentations by watching Space Audit's presentation with Dr. Bennett over on Ether Cosmology. I think he even has some conversations with Witsit as well on Witsit's channel at Witsit Gets It. And it was just a great conversation to discuss motion or the lack thereof with someone who isn't a flat earther or an ethereal framework, which a lot of current mainstream science is starting to acknowledge, and with different compartmentalized, abstract, conceptual words like, I don't know, quantum foam and all this weird stuff, but we did get into the dynamics of the ether. I want to get more into the properties of it and some of the experiments and demonstrations to validate some of these ideas. So we just scratched the surface. This was Dr. Bennett's first episode of Flat Earth Fridays, but we are really familiar with him in other platforms. And I'm super excited for the next episode whenever he decides to come back. I think he has a presentation on Ether Cosmology in Discord. If y'all go follow Ether Cosmology on Twitter, y'all probably could tap in and, get some of that information. And then hopefully very soon, we'll have Dr. Bennett back and we can build on this a little bit more with some new voices, new perspectives, new ideas. I really want you guys' mind wrapped around these concepts and how this is what they're talking about at the highest levels of physics, that there is at least an equivalence, right? There's at least an equivalence to a geostationary Earth. But I would personally say that it's more viable because it doesn't require this 90 or 99% of missing mass and energy to keep the Earth in motion. It's called dark energy and dark matter. Don't need it in a geocentric, geostationary worldview. Everything is what it is. There's a lab frame that we observe all of our observations from. And current physicists will sit there and say, every frame is equally valid. There is no lab frame. There is no preferred frame to make observations from. Even though we make all of our observations from Earth and we treat it as stationary, current physics doesn't acknowledge that. And I think that's the problem. I feel like if we had a better idea of how physics can be unified and applied to all scales, like the true nature of our reality, I think that we will be far more advanced than where we are right now. Even with all of our technological advances, I think we'll be far more advanced. There are other conversations that happened this week that we weren't able to really get into. Hopefully next week we get touching on it because there's been conversations about interferometry, conversations about the ether and merging the ether with current physics. And I really want to delve into that to see if that's actually viable or not. There's been a lot of science and technology that has been hidden. So I do acknowledge that. And they may have been able to develop new tech, new science that haven't been released to the public yet. And we're viewing it as anti-gravity, and really it may just be something completely different than that. So there's a lot of different ways to approach this conversation. There's a lot of avenues to touch on, and it's a lot of dense and technical material. But the way that my guys lay it out is super digestible and super informative. And it's things that just we haven't been taught in school. And I think that's what makes it so dope, is that these things are literally scientific, but for some reason, they're leaving the options of this reality out of school books, out of the educational system, just completely ignored. And you're only given one framework as fact. This is what it is. Trust us, bro. And I'm here to say that's not true. So super interesting. Like I said, replay, link in bio if you haven't caught it. Shout out to Dr. Bennett for pulling up and kicking it with us for his first Flat Earth Fridays, episode 106. Let's clap it up. And here's to many more episodes with him joining as speaker. So if you guys got any questions after hearing and joining in the conversation, make sure you keep them for next time, because I want to definitely get to the rest of them, because we didn't get to all of them, and there were a lot of people that wanted to engage and ask Dr. Bennett some questions. So we're going to try to work that out a little bit better next time. We got some cool topics coming up in the next couple of weeks as well. We're going to figure out which one's going to come first. And yeah, let me know what you think about the space for episode 106, man.
I'm super jelly that I didn't get to be part of that conversation earlier about ether and like ethions. I'm sure you guys mentioned, and the whole idea of it being like, there was a time it was in books saying that it was 1.5 times the speed of light, which in itself brings up so many questions. It's like, what do you mean? You know, like the whole thing is just this big can of worms, right?
Right, and
Yeah,
that's
it seems like
the speed of light. If the speed of light is actually the constant speed of the speed of light, right? The speed limit of the speed of light, if that's the real thing. But it doesn't seem like it. Go ahead, New Perspective. Didn't mean to cut you off.
oh yeah, yeah. I don't know how long I was talking when my phone died out and or went to home screen. I was just rambling on about the pyramids and the Ebner effect, and then the microzyma. I was talking about that. Yeah, I'm like, wait, no one's hearing me. But yeah, it seems like the ether. Actually, speaking of microzyma, it seems like the essence of everything is the microzyma, and that's what Antoine Béchamp figured out back in the day when they were at the heart of the whole germ versus terrain theory, and he was against Pasteur, and they funded Pasteur because they had their agenda with the pharmaceutical industry and all that, and avoiding the truth. But at the heart of everything, at the heart of every cell, what Béchamp discovered is what he called the microzyma, and it's like this bundle of intelligent light that makes the cell pleomorphic, meaning it can morph into whatever it needs to be. But because it has to know what it needs to be, the microzyma need to be connected and in communication with every other microzyma, especially within the system. Like if child's developing, one of the microzyma is going to be working on making the heart, the other one might be working on making the brain, and they both have to know their roles and know the other's roles in an unconscious way almost for it to work, for anything to work. So if everything is microzyma, including rocks and air and everything, then that could be called the ether collectively. And it's not just like this thing that's outside of reality, even though we're talking about counter space and all that. But it's like the universal unconscious intelligence that makes it all one thing. And yeah, the ether is the thing I think that they want to hide more than anything. That is because it not only for the free energy, but just the understanding of everything. Maybe even some kind of sixth sense that we could tap into or whatever else. But yeah, it's interesting that is the thing that you really don't want people to know about.
Yeah, because that'll bring more questions than answers, to be totally honest. Like, we want to figure out what is the ether? Where did it come from? Why is it encompass all things? I mean, and there's still questions with current physics. You know, where does energy come from? Because it's not neither transferred. It's only transferred, is not created nor destroyed. So there's still issues in current physics, which the ether can explain a lot. But I think what's the issue with science is they don't want to reset it. They already had to reset with Einstein. They don't want to have to go through that and then admit that they were wrong about everything, because that would just look like competent. Y'all been paying them to give y'all the information. So if they've been wrong and they've been knowing that they've been wrong, how y'all gonna feel about that? I'm just saying.
They probably have ether tech that they're deploying for themselves or employing for their own use. Like, there's probably islands of ether tech fantasy, amazing shit that we'll never see, that they use. And it has to be, right? I mean, why would they just let it not even be used if they're trying to hide it? That means they're using it, right?
I would definitely believe that they have that technology somewhere built up, and they're like harnessing it, like basically rerouting the ether to their servers or beams or whatever the fuck, so that they can channel all of it. But I do think it should be simple to derive. Like the average civilian could figure out some technology to wire together and grab some ether. Secret, I was thinking, I wonder if that color, like I kind of want this to be the case, but who knows? I kind of wonder if that color I can't explain is the ether. Like, am I seeing the ether? Like, if that would be dope.
Oh,
I think the ether is everything. Like the essence of everything is the ether.
Yeah, well, everything in our observable reality is in motion, except Earth, right? But I'm just talking about, like, we were talking about these toroid fields that they categorize as particles. That was another awesome breakdown by Dr. Bennett. And these things are constantly oscillating and vibrating. And the way that I understand it, when I hear some of the guys talk about it, when the ether is disturbed, shout out to Shinku too. Smack the ether, you get some illumination, or you get some type of disturbance in that background medium that causes that illumination or whatever field or force that we observe in real life. So the only time something would not be vibrating, which means it would be in like an absolute state of rest, which means could it exist if it's in an absolute state of rest? Just got questions.
And what would an absolute state of rest actually be? Like, would you say a rock is in an absolute state of rest?
No, I wouldn't say so, because I mean it still has those vibrations at the quantum subatomic level,
right?
Needs the atom stuff.
If it's matter that's made of fast-moving molecules held together, if that is still something we're considering, then that's there to consider.
Yeah, whether you call them molecules or particles, or it doesn't really matter what you call it, but it's the oscillation that they're basically describing. They want to make everything little balls, right? It's all about the balls for these fags.
Balls. I mean,
yeah. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Everything's electric, right? Everything's electric, and everything's made of water, right? To some degree. So, and light, water, electricity.
And going back to that whole thing about vibration and energy, like everything's like a sine wave, right? So if you take a sine wave and you look at it not from the side view, but from like like the other cross view, like downward, you'll see that it's actually within a shape of a ball, right? It'll just look like this weird sine wave within a toroidal field kind of thing, like oscillating around. I know you guys have had Ramtix in here, and he might even be in here right now. He's the first one to come on and talk at length about the toroidal fields, or how they're in everything, these shapes.
Hey, I don't know if Ramtic's been a Flat Earth Fridays on mic. I've seen him. I don't know if he's ever spoken. Hey, if you get a chance, son, tell him to pull up.
Yeah, like he's always like he's a few times he's been frustrated too because he gets so mad. He's like nobody asks me questions, and I'm like, man, I think it's just a language barrier. Like that might be what it is, but because I get what he's trying to say, and it's very clear what he's trying to lay down for everybody, and it's the fact that everything is a toroidal field, everything sound, everything from electrical energy, all things fall into this sine wave, which is also, depending on the angle you look at it, in a toroidal field, as I think I understand, and it makes sense. Makes sense.
For sure. Yep, Schauberger. A lot of these people that have been lost. Steinmetz, reminds me of one of the Brenner comps I put together, and he's talking about the ether. Everything is electric in this reality, right? And the godfathers of our electric civilization are not even taught in school. Why is that? Because they're set on teaching an etherless world, right? They're set on that. So I think at some point, people were able to use this for their own, power or it just made things a lot more even, right? Like they can't take advantage of it. If people can make their own power, you can't control them. People can use the ether for things that are,
We lose you?
Yeah, it sounded like your mic went out. New perspective. While you get your mic fixed, we do have Plocky Podcast. Probably gonna be one of the last speakers. Is it Plocky? Am I saying that right?
Yeah. Hello, guys. I am sorry for my English. I am from a small country in Eastern Europe called Czech Republic, but I am following you and listening all that has Alan and Shane and Witsit and you've been saying, and I'm actually trying to do the same thing in Czech Republic. And I'm doing content in Czech, and to be honest, I'm almost half of the time, or almost 3/4 of the time, I'm just translating content from Witsit, Ellen, and Shane, and it's amazing because how I was saying that popularity is growing. It's true in Europe and in Czech Republic, we are getting a movement as well. I had a chance to talk eyes to eye to Czechoslovakia cosmonaut or astronaut, and he lied about seeing bright stars. I don't know if there's that clip. Where different astronauts lying about seeing star bright shine, not shine, bright shine, and he also lied. He said that he saw super shining stars everywhere, and it's amazing. So I just want to thanks to you all for this work because you are making this movement not only in English and not only in Western, but also in Europe and Eastern Europe as well, because we are growing thanks to you, I think, honestly. So I just wanted to thanks to you all for your amazing work.
Bro, clap it up, man. I appreciate that, man. It just blows my mind sometimes because we got the Twitter space and everybody's here, but then when people pop up and say, hey, I'm from the Czech Republic, or hey, I'm from Japan, or hey, I'm from Africa, and we're like, wait, what? Y'all listen to Flat Earth Fridays all the way over there, bro? Really? It's crazy, man. Shout out to you for putting in that work, number one. Sorry if I'm speaking a little bit fast, but shout out to you for putting in the work to find the information, translate the information, because I know that's got to be a lot, right? So just by you putting in that extra work to interpret the information, so that way it's digestible for you, man, I gotta clap it up, because that's real determination right there. And it's so cool to hear you pop in the Flat Earth Fridays, man. Like, you're always welcome if you want to come chop it up with the guys. I don't know what time zone you're in, but we do try to keep it open, so that way, no matter where you are, you got a chance to at least come say what's up. But if you can, like, try to pop in a little bit earlier next time, and maybe you could say what's up to like Alan and Shane and Wissit and Toby or Stone or any one of the guys from the squad, man. I'm pretty sure they'll be delighted to hear from you, knowing that they're making that impact, all the way over in Czech, man. So appreciate you showing up, and shout out to you, man.
Thank you very much. I'm listening like for, I don't know, 6-7 hours. I am in Station Saturday right now. We have like 1 hour past lunch, and I like honestly, I had to grow my balls to speak up in front of all people not in my language. I don't have an issue to speak in Czech, but I don't have a lot of time to speak in English. So I was like getting to brave up to speak, and that the drunken lady honestly helped me, because when
Miles has a purpose. Yes.
Yeah, so it's amazing. Like honestly, the population is growing, and even in Czech Republic, we have a globalist politic. They are controlling us like 100%. We had everything you got, we have as well, but they are trying to shut us down as well. It's insane. I got a YouTube channel about, I don't know, 4,000 like subscribers, and I am censored like same way, like it's a Flat Earth Day, or if you like searching in history in Czech, we have the same censorship in Czech on Czech YouTube. Like you cannot find true Czech Flat Earth videos. You only find the shills, and same thing you got. Like we got everything. You got like I don't know, FTFE and all this like anti-flat earthers. We got the same in Czech.
Y'all got a Czech FTFE.
I am not kidding. I am not kidding. I am not kidding. Like it's everything same. I'm like I cannot say how like big metrics from my point of view is when I'm like watching this big scene, and I'm comparing to our Czech scene, and it's completely the same. Like from paper to paper.
Wow.
Everything same.
That's insane. That is so wild. You really think like there's like a doppelganger Czech FTFE just running around trying to straw man Flat Earth in Czech.
So
yeah,
like, you have your opposition is what you guys are saying, like already up in these other places, right? Like in these other languages, basically.
Wow. Yep.
That is organization. That is deliberate, like. Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't sound like no grassroots, like impassioned person putting out, like their content. That's not what that sounds like.
Yeah, man, that is super crazy. It's so wild that all the way across the world, you're still kind of dealing with the same things that we're dealing with. Yeah, which means it seems like it's systematic. Super wild, man. But I'm glad you found your way over here. We got to get you a new term, because we don't want you to have the balls to come up. We want you to have the planes, or maybe the ether to come up, or something like that. We got to get the balls out of here. But
the vortices.
Vortices, yeah.
Yo, Palucci, I hit you with a follow. If you have any questions or need anything, man, hit me with a DM and I got you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I honestly, soon I will, because like I said, everything that you have in your big scene, we starting in our Czech Republic. They are like the mainstream is talking to us. I honestly was in a big Czech podcast that they are only politics and Czech stars and whatever, and I was there telling talking in Czech about flat Earth. I'm no kidding. Like that podcast had 100,000 of views on TikTok, on all crossover all the platforms. Like they are almost everyone is laughing to me, like for sure. Like I don't care, but the movement is growing. So the mainstream is talking to us. We had a chance to have a big debate with like young globalist leader, like some engineer and some people from mainstream, and that Czechoslovakia cosmonaut that was in lower orbit, but he was lying as hell. Because and we all have this on tape, but it's all in Czech. But I don't know, maybe at least that clip with that cosmonaut would be like a good to translate to English, at least with subtitles. So I guess I will do that, because we got some good, I don't know how to say it, info and arguments as well. But it's we have to get it out from Czech Republic to you and spread it as well, because you don't just imagine how this movement is growing when you just share something, and I am from Czech Republic and I translate it, and somewhere will be sooner new flat earthers that will doing the same, and more people will be doing sharing this info in their countries and doing this well. I think we can change this this realm actually, and it will be because we won't stay quiet, and we won't be like fear or fearful to talk about it in public, and that's the only way I think talk about it.
Yeah, it's crazy how flat Earth galvanizes people. You know, I mean, like it's so fun. It's endlessly hilarious how confident people are with this ball and their rudeness towards people that don't think it's a ball, when it's the opposite, the exact opposite. The most ridiculous thing is the ball, and they're convinced that thinking that reality is like it seems is the most ridiculous thing. It's so funny.
And it's crazy that it's the same no matter where we are, America, Czech, like it's the same thing. But I am super interested in flat Earth Czech Republic evidence. So, bro, if you whenever you get that stuff translated, or even if it isn't, man, like DM me, send it to me, because I would love to see it. Because I didn't even think like, hey, like there's got to be other flat Earth evidence outside of just my main area. So like that would be super dope to see. So yeah, whenever you get a chance, bro, if you find something that you think will be worth sharing, please send it directly to me, and I'll go ahead and get it out to everybody. So shout out to you, bro.
Sure, I will definitely. I will share with you that debate with the Czechoslovakia astronaut, because we had that debate like 3 months ago, and after we shot it, they told us it will be like 2 weeks of Reddit editing, and they will let it out. But after like 2 months, the info slipped away that all the 3 flat earthers that were in the debate with me, there was like 2 other flat earthers with me, we all crashed them in that debate. We totally crashed all 3 like engineers, architects, whatever, they had like all degrees, and we totally crashed them in the debates. And they didn't know how to put it out there, so they had like 3 months of editing, and now they are letting it out like this week or next week. But we had a signed contract that they had to give us the uncutted material. So after they give us, I hope they will, then we planning to share it like all away, so all to public. So I will definitely give you that talk with that astronaut, because I think that's hilarious, and we got them lying again. And he said first when we started the debate with the astronaut, he said, I seen the whole ball Earth, and when we pressed him, he said, I only seen a curved horizon. And like, duh, man. So I will share it with you for sure, this one.
Hey man, that was a smart move to make sure they had to give y'all the raw, uncut footage. Hopefully they follow through. But that was so smart, because you know that they're gonna edit that thing so crazy where it's not even gonna look like how it really is. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, man, keep me posted. I can't wait to look at that because that's y'all crushed that astronaut, bro. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, and honestly, again, it was thanks to you because I watched Behind the Curve and I knew that it will happen. I knew that on the beginning they had the honest intention to just do the movie, and that was again with the Gen was the same thing. I think that Behind the Curve was at the first it wasn't like a hit movie or hit piece. I think they just thought like stupid flares, let's show them to the world. But when they show up, they are not stupid. They had to change the plan, and I think that this was the same thing. But in front like wanted to have a signed contracts that they have to give us the uncutted raw material, or we won't talk. So I hope they will follow the day law and that things they follow. I hope so. But again, it was thanks to this community that we learn from our mistakes. That's true.
Man, that's awesome, bro. Go ahead, son.
I didn't want to like. I'm not trying to completely derail the topic or at all, but I just wanted to mention to see if anyone else had even heard of this. But ever since the eclipse, people have been putting up content, and maybe this is way off. I just know that we're talking about Earth and stuff, so I don't have many people to bring this up with. I think I might do a room, like an hour or two from now or something like that, or whenever I do a room next, I might actually make it about this, even though it's really random and it's about the sun. It feels as though there's some tampering going on, and I think it all has to do with controlling food. Who can grow, who can't grow food. Like people have called it the like sun simulator. And for me, it's a hard pill to swallow because it's like, well, how can we cover up our sun completely and then have this, counterfeit one? And I think some people feel like the eclipse is when this happened, like this whole switcheroo, which I don't know. There's an indication of something strange that happened on the eclipse. I don't even know if that's something you guys have talked about, the weirdness of what happened during the eclipse, right? And a lot of people bring up like Nibiru or Planet X, Planet 9, whatever you guys want to refer to it as. It's all kind of like the black sun concept. And this is something that I've just seen referenced a lot in like for example, that series, The Lost History of Flat Earth, I think it's called. And the gentleman in that film, he touches upon this whole, I don't know. So anyway, I just want to bring it up for a second.
Wait, Ewar was talking about what in there? Wait, finish that off with the Lost History. What you're saying? He was talking about resets.
Well, he was talking about resets and people that are trying to take control of even our environment as we know it. So it's like, I am tired, so I'm trying to remember what exactly I was referring to with that when it just popped in my head just now. But I think it more has to do with the fact that we have the systems of this earth kind of hidden from us. And I think he kind of alluded to this being an enclosed system, and that, we're at the whim of some controllers, I believe. Yeah,
it's been excavated. At least one of them was talking about how it's excavated. Basically, we're living in an excavated land that's been kind of raped of all its resources. But that's a whole other discussion. But I'm suspicious of the replacing the sun stuff just from hearing about it, but I haven't looked into it yet.
It seems so ludicrous, and honestly, like I don't try to talk about things that are just so whack, but like I'm looking in my own garden and I've seen some TikTok videos talking about things that are happening to people's crops and their plants that they've never seen before. And this is people that have been farming in the same place, in the same location, for many, many, many years. And there's just interesting things that are popping up amongst a lot of, like, I don't know. And these are people that don't know each other and stuff. And people are saying the same thing. They're seeing something happening to their vegetables that are getting burned or having sunspots or weird weird shit like that is going on.
Well,
Right
if it's
now,
not a new sun or a replacement sun or whatever, one of the theories that I've been talking about for a long time, but not so much recently, but a lot of people have been confirming that there is a cycle to the sun and there's a solar minimum and a solar maximum. I don't know how much truth there is to that, but it does seem like there are cycles you can identify over time. And I had a friend that was studying this and looking into it. And there's, the whole talk of plasma events and there's a Carrington event. You can look that up. But is there some kind of cyclical plasma event that occurs? And one of the things that I remember him saying was that when you start going into a solar minimum, the electromagnetic field that shields us from the sun weakens. So that would answer a lot of things. Because that's weakening, then you're going to get more direct sunlight. It's going to make it a lot hotter in some areas and a lot colder in other areas. So, and they're conflating that with the whole climate change and global warming, I'm sure. But the other thing is that the magnetic north is oscillating and changing on a regular basis. And that's another thing that Ewar talked about, that this oscillation of the magnetic north might be part of this cycle that the whole thing's going through, and that our sun and moon system might even have a rotation to it, and that the whole great year concept and the reference to Vibes of the Cosmos was seeing the map of the Earth on the moon and showing the extra land on the moon, possibly. Very fantastical and interesting, and actually a lot more credible than you think, as far as they're like pointing out the particulars and the details of it. For a lot of people have looked into it, and it's just been, their minds are blown by the possibility that it could be something, but if it's not, then it would just be highly coincidental and amazing on its own.
There's some sort of
way
going on. There has to be, because like I had a gentleman in my room, I guess it would be yesterday morning, that was absolutely adamant that there's a bunch of leaves that are changing where he lives into different colors, like stuff that you see not at this point in the season, right? Like way too early, right? And like leaves are changing and falling. And honestly, that's the kind of thing that I'm seeing, like literally with I have pot plants, and then I have apple trees, and I have like stuff that's out exposed to the sun, and then I have stuff in greenhouses. And there is something going on. I'm getting yellowish burns into my vegetables. My apples are starting to do the same thing. Like they're not ripe yet. They're getting miscoloring on them. And like, this is stuff that I haven't seen before. And it's like, how could that be inconsistent? How could our sun be inconsistent? You know what I mean? Like that, to the point where it's even in the wrong spot in the sky. It's slightly off, like the moon has been. Like I made a video of it the other night. I posted it. The moon is in like some spot. I've never seen it. So I don't know. Maybe I'm losing my mind here a little bit.
No, things do work in cycles. I mean, it wouldn't make sense if it was always consistent forever and ever. Like there has to be some kind of variation that's slight drifting over time for whatever reason. The magnetic north was what my friend was saying was the cause of that, because everything's centered around that, and he even proposed that possibly that's the reason they have like the ghost cities in China and stuff, or these areas where they build up cities where it would be terrible to live there right now, but with the weather, with their knowing about these cycles, it's going to be prime real estate 10 years from now. Those kind of things. Yeah, I think that they know that there's a cycle. It would answer a lot of things if there is some kind of plasma event or some kind of drastic change that they're aware of. As we know, yeah, that would make a lot of sense, because the underground cities and all that, they're preparing for not just like what we think is like some kind of war on top. Most people think is some kind of like fallout that people are going to be scorched by bombs or something, but it could be some kind of plasma thing. It does seem like there are mountains that were actually buildings and something melted them, whether it was directed energy weapons and they're claiming it was a plasma event, or the other way around. I don't know. But yeah, that would make sense.
This gentleman was convinced that this is a military operation, and he said there was something about, like, he had somebody he was speaking to. This is what he said. Like this guy was military type friend, someone that has connections with what's going on, and the guy was saying something about how like there was 7 of these simulators that China had built once. Like there's 7 of these things. I don't know if China's made them all, and that supposedly these have been launched during the eclipse thing, and that they're all in their own, like, their own, like, little cycle or some shit like that. And I don't know
What do I look up to find that guy? The guy you're talking about?
Let me find my. I have it in my recorded last room. Let me see if I can find out who it is, and then maybe I can get in contact with him. But yeah, that was like just like a few hours ago before I slept. So yeah, I'm still waking up. Let me see if I can dig that up. That guy.
Yeah, and then there's talk of like the sun simulator and the possibility of them using some kind of fake sun for this final observation or whatever you want to call it, like his Antarctica thing. I propose the idea that maybe this whole Antarctica thing might be a way to get people down there to witness something else, right? Like if they're planning on using flat Earth, like I always bring this up, if they plan on like actually like absorbing flat Earth for whatever reason, like they're gonna use it to their advantage and then make a whole pseudoscience about the flat Earth and tell us that the aliens with the UFO disclosure are actually our ancient ancestors, outer ponders, right? The outer ponders that have more advanced civilizations outside of our own, and we have to now unite as one world to either protect ourselves from them or, you know, praise them. And they can have good outer ponders, bad outer ponders. I always talk about the outer ponders because I think that's something, whether it's true or not, they could say it's true and have real-time gods to work with. And I put it out there not because I want it to happen, but because I think they might have been planning to do that. So just, you know, and we have to figure out a way to like debunk that when it happens, if possible. Like, not that that's going to make a difference, but very interesting if that is the goal.
Hey, I'm sorry, I'm like interrupting, but I just wanted to ask like exactly about the final experiment and your thoughts about it, because from what info I was able to gather, I think that Will Duffy is like Freemason shell. But also I want to ask about the real final experiment. If you like ever thought about building something like, I don't know, some kind of device on land, like for something like LIGO, but for like Earth curvature, and something that like would be able for everyone. Like everyone could go there and like measure it and see it for his own eyes. That there's like it's flat and there's no curve only in your eyes, something like that. Because I honestly have a sponsor, like some rich Czech flat earther that is like super rich, like super rich, like in millions of dollars. And he actually like want to contribute and like build something or something like that. And he's actually in like water business, like in third world countries. So he's like, I believe him that he's like honest and he wants to help us. So like right now we are like trying to find an idea to like build something, and I was like want to have these 2 questions. Like first, what is your like opinion on a final experiment from Will Duffy, and if you ever think about like some real final experiment that would be able to show to public that we are right.
Well, I'll tell you what I think. I'll give you my rundown real quick. I know other people probably want to answer that too, but yeah, Will Duffy, definitely sus. I wouldn't go anywhere with him. I wouldn't go anywhere with his money. I wouldn't do any of that. If there was a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, we would have that evidence right now. That evidence would exist already. So it's not like there's some like, oh, now we got to go find. I mean, if it existed, we would see the 24-hour sun, not these fake, you know, videos that we have, like the one guy putting out, and then one other guy claiming to have it. That none of them are good. We would have plenty of good footage of that already. We don't need to get some flat earther to go down there and witness it, because it would exist already, right? As far as the other experiment you're talking about, a lot of people have talked about a force the line type experiment where you could actually, you know, show that there's no curvature. Those are very difficult to show as like definitive proof, because there's always some kind of lag in the string or the whatever you're going to build is going to show. I mean, railroad tracks have enough give in between the railroad tracks, they say, to account for the curvature. So if you can't use railroad tracks that we know go straight across the land everywhere, right? There's no curvature of these railroads, but it's enough give, according to the ballers, that they can just claim, oh, that there's enough give in between each section that it can account for the curvature. So it's so slight that it's almost like hard to show anything definitive, even if you are convinced of what your own test shows. I'd say that it's already done. Airplanes prove every single second of the day that we're not on a spinning ball. That is the final test. Every time a plane lands, that's the final experiment, because it can't land on a spinning ball when the pilots are treating it as stationary. It's that simple. But I'll let other people reply to that too.
Yeah, there's something like, it feels like this is a big thing going on right now. I guess that's why I was bringing it up, because I just didn't know if it was on other people's radar. It seems ludicrous, and it's like, why would this be happening? Like, what would be the point? That kind of stuff. I always try to see if I can dig up a reason why. But I guess I'm having a hard time.
Did you find the guy's name? Did you post it somewhere?
Just give me a second. I'm still working on that.
Oh, no worries.
But
yeah, definitely. If you keep that person's name kind of under wraps, I would recommend. If they've got millions of dollars ready to do something that's threatening to the powers that be, try to keep that in your back pocket. I would recommend. But yeah, definitely hit me up, or Alan, or any of these people that are in here for ideas. I would say other ideas.
I am like 100% with you on that. Like, if there was the South Antarctic Sun, we already would have that pictures. Like, for sure, 100%. Yeah. There would be zillion of them. It would be regular.
Yeah, exactly.
And there would be no reason to talk about it. And I think the reason why is now, because honestly, I think that flat Earth moving is growing like all over the world, like all over the realm.
Oh yeah.
And they know it, and they know it, and they feel it, and they are like making this move, because honestly, when in our Czech Republic, like regular globies know about this, they are trying to like push it like so hard. This final experiment, that's regular people in our country like heard about it, or heard that like flares are going to be sent to see 24-hour sun in Antarctic. Like in our small country, people know that. Like, that's insane. Like, they're pushing it so hard.
The thing that makes it so suspicious is like, we know that, anybody with common sense knows that footage would exist. Plenty of it would already exist. So why are they so confident? Why is this coming from the baller side? Let's go down there and prove it one way or another. Because we know that there's no 24-hour sun, and they must as well. So why are they? What's the ploy here? Like, what do they get? Why would they allow that to happen unless there's something behind it that we don't know about?
My guess is Sun Simulator, and to public, like to how to say it in English, to public that isn't like following flat Earth movement, and then don't about thing, and they're like thinking that we think that we live on pancake in space. For them, it will be proof enough if they will have like a mainstream articles about flares that see in a 24-hour sun, even if we will point it out that it is simulator, and we will find out later on, like we always do. It will be like something like behind the curve. We will hear about it for next 10 years that we are stupid and we already had flares in Antarctica. That's my guess.
Right. But then again, they already claim to have the 24-hour sun footage, right? So what are they saying? Like that footage is fake. They're admitting that and saying we need to go get new footage, right? So like what like, if you're already claiming to have it, this Anthony Powell guy already has it. So why is this like something that anyone needs to do? You think that's real, right? So you already have what you need. Right.
Well,
But yeah,
that
you're right. It's got to be some kind of like public thing that they're going to put out. The stupid flirts thought there wasn't going to be a 24-hour sun, and now they're proven wrong. And flat earthers, they could try that, but that it won't matter to anyone really paying attention anyway, because we all are just going to laugh at it. And if they try the aliens from outer space, flat earthers are going to be laughing at that too. So they'll never get away with the alien invasion unless they make it out of pounders, is what I'm saying. And this could be like a twist, you know, go down there, and then all of a sudden we got some outer pounders standing on the ice wall looking down at you, and that's the whole reason they brought these people down. Now we have people from the flat earth side and the glober side coming back with a story about, you know, seeing ancient ancestors up on the ice wall or something. I don't know. That's just my thought. That would be an interesting twist, right? I tried that.
I have a reply for New Perspective.
All right.
I know of a proposed experiment that's very practical to do and very decisive. You can ask Flat Earth Dave about it. He's proposed it. Putting a set of gyroscopes on an airplane and getting them going and then taking off and doing maneuvers in the air that demonstrate by the gyroscope that the Earth is flat. I can't explain it in detail, but he has it worked out theoretically. I think it's fairly inexpensive compared to building a giant facility like LIGO. And it's civil aviation, so it doesn't need a lot of permits and stuff to do it. Flat Earth Dave, if you want to get in touch with him, could discuss it with you. Maybe somebody else in here. Maybe somebody else in here knows more detail about the proposal.
Yeah, I heard him talking about, I mean, first of all, mechanical gyroscopes already prove that we're not on a spinning ball. They are on planes. That's what Lebet, the model builder, the beast, that's what convinced him. And he used to work for a space agency. And he said it was the mechanical gyroscopes on airplanes. They have some special setup that would be kind of like foolproof to show it, which would be great. I was even telling Austin, like, yeah, tell them when they ask you about going down to Antarctica for the final experiment, tell them that you'd rather just fly to Antarctica with this mechanical gyroscope and show it's not a globe, right? Like, you know, it's already decided. Planes couldn't land. They could never land on a spinning ball with a tangential gradient if they're treating it as stationary. It can't be moving if the pilots are trying to treat it as stationary. That's an experiment every day. I know that for me, at least, that's enough. But yeah, that'd be interesting if they actually they have like a foolproof way of showing it.
Regarding Flat Earth Dave's proposal for a gyroscope demonstration on an airplane, they would not fly to Antarctica. It would just be a normal.
I was kidding. I know, I was kidding about that. I was saying Austin should say that if they're trying to like give him shit about not going to Antarctica for the final experiment, he should say something about going down, fly in that direction with the gyroscope, you know, instead. Use it as a way of bringing up this other final experiment idea is what I was saying, you know.
Right. The idea is to find an objective for the funding.
All right. We'll talk to I wasn't the one talking about the funding. That was our friend. What's your name? I'm sorry.
It was me. I am like my name is Dominic. I'm that Plochy podcast.
Dominic, okay.
Actually, like in Czech, Plochy in Czech, Plochy is flat. So I have a podcast that is called Flat Podcast in English. And I was the one asking about the final experiment. I know all this stuff that you are talking about, and my point of view, I'm like trying to get it to public, like everyone who like actually honestly like go to Flat Earth Road, like I don't know anyone who like honestly go this road and won't become a flat earther. So that's not the issue. Issue is like to get it to public who like think we are crazy, who thinks that it's pancake in space. And my idea is like to make something on the ground, something I know. I heard about the tension lines, and I know about all the issue about the tension lines. So I know that there's a big issue with that. So my idea is like to build something with like funding, and even like we have a like big movement in Czech, and that everyone is like want to like crowdfund this. So we want like build something that will be able to get it out to public, and even like to mainstream, and like make them talk about it. Like even like I don't know, maybe they will just admit that it's like some anomaly and some little area flatness, whatever. I don't care, but it will be something like to show to people and everybody. Like because I have my own like measurements, and it's amazing to have something like physical that you've seen on your own eyes, and you can talk about it. And so that's my whole point of view. Like I'm trying to build or think something that we are able to show to public, because I know that every plane that get up and successfully land, it's like a proof of flat Earth. I know that, like, but not
Yeah,
public.
exactly.
Not public.
Are you on Discord at all, by the way? Do you have Discord? Or do you know what Discord is?
Yeah, I have it, but I don't use it at all, honestly. But if you send me something, I definitely will like follow it and look at it.
Yeah, if you have a Discord account, that's where you can talk to people about this kind of stuff all the time, not just Friday nights. But we had a guy that was doing a very detailed tension line experiment. He had it all planned out. He had even funded it himself. He got a lot of people calling the place he planned on doing it and trying to report him. And he had some anti-flat earthers that were trying to sabotage it for sure. So be careful how much you publicize it before you get the final results and all that. But he had the whole thing with weights that he was doing, like the tension with the weights was going to be a part of it, and then maybe a moat of water underneath it so that you could have the water level to verify, to like double verify what's going on with the push the line type experiment. But I could get you those details if you were on Discord. That's all.
The objective of the tension line experiment is to bypass the complaints about optics. So it would prove that the water is level. I don't necessarily follow the logic of all of that, but I did learn that the motivation for the tension line experiment is to bypass the complaints about optics.
Exactly. It's just very difficult. I know a lot of people have thought about it and tried different things, and it's just very difficult with the sagging of the line to be so, it'd have to be so tight and so straight. I mean, but it's just so ridiculous at the same time. We see a horizon line 25 miles across, it's perfectly straight. But yeah, you would have to be able to show the whole thing from the side,
Yeah, exactly.
The accuracy of the tolerance of the rope is problematic. The weight on the rope itself is problematic. This is a very bad idea.
Yeah, people end up spending a lot of time and money to try to make it work, and that usually ends up not being definitive enough for the amount of time and money you might put into it. Not to
Also,
discourage.
they need to study the science and to understand how experiments are even done or measured, and not to jump the.
Hey, who gave this guy a mic? Hey, David, last time you was up here, you said some really racist stuff. You want to
really?